seconds for YouTube. Starting video transmission, and Mr. Felix, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, Grots and Gits, welcome back to Happy Cruffin Wargaming for the second time today. Sorry, we had a few technical difficulties, so we had to relaunch the stream. For those of you who missed out on the first part, I actually just deleted the last video, so don't worry, you're not going to get confused. This is the only official Leagues of Votann Tactical Tier list on the internet, because no one else does Tactical Tier list. They just do normal tier list, like lamos. But anyway, we're super happy to be here. Felix is here with me. As always, he is my partner in crime. Well, maybe not as always, but as many times, he is my partner in crime. We always love having him on the channel. He's a wealth of knowledge, and today he's going to talk to us about why he's a traitor, and he's no longer green, and he is now just a short-legged stumpy. He's rocking the Space towards Leagues of Votann, which we all love and adore, and hate, but that's okay. So, Mr. Felix, why don't you just give us a quick overview of the army, the notable enhancements, then the notable stratagems, and then we're just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, so first off, a judgment token on you for offending the dwarves, but yeah, let's go.
Well, I did beat you in your very first game as Leagues of Votann. So, yeah. I'm just saying, it was the very first time you ever did it, which means I'm sure that's the result every single time it'll happen.
Yeah. We'll redo that game one time.
Absolutely,
right.
For sure.
So, Votann, it's a slow, durable shooting army at like medium to short range. So that's kind of it's like the opposite of orks. Now, the stratagems, we have a few. Well, let's start with the tokens, actually. So we can give out tokens on enemy units. These tokens give buffs to my entire army. So 1 token on a unit means I have +1 to hit. 2 tokens means I have +1 to hit and +1 to wound, which is a very good army-wide, considering when a lot of things are strength 4 and 5, that +1 to wound starts to get a little bonkers.
Marvelous.
For the notable enhancements, we'll start with Appraising Glare. That's if you have the points for Appraising Glare, that's a great one. Basically, in your command phase, you look at you gotta pick one objective that the opponent controls, and until the end of the all right, they FAQ this one. It's until the next command phase, I think, or end of turn, because at launch it was from the command phase to the end of this command phase, which. But yeah, everything on that counts as having 1 more token. They don't get 1 more token, they just count as having 1 more. Great. And then we have a long list. That's not very notable. It's just if your unit with that kills a unit, it can put that has a token. It can put 1 token on a new thing.
So you kill a unit that had a token, then you just transfer that token to another unit.
That the leader can see, which is...
Everything's already going to have a token anyway, so...
Yeah. Kind of. Then we have the best one, the Grim Demeanor. That is out to take. If you're not taking that one, there's an argument for not taking it on UKTC, but it's so good.
There's an argument, but it's a stupid argument.
Yeah. It's just amazing. So what it does is, first off, you can reroll Battleshock test. Great. We're leadership 7 across the board. Every single unit leadership 7.
Ooh, so you hate Tyranids.
Yeah. So I like that one. But then also you become Trajan Valorous. You can ignore modifiers to any or all modifiers to the characteristics or tests made for the unit, which means which will actually be modifiers to morale tests, I believe.
Morale test, hit, wound, movement.
And in WTC, that would be also to AP and damage, which is very nice.
Well, in most of the game, it's AP and damage, because that's the way it's written. There's just some silly people out there who rule it incorrectly because, I don't know, they like playing with different games. They don't like playing by the rules, so they rule it wrong, but that's okay. The majority of the game.
Just note, Appraising Glare is 20 points, Grim Demeanor is 20 points, which is amazing to become Trajan. Long List is 15, and then we have the last one, which is Wayfarer's Grace for 25 points. If you can afford it, and it's good, but it's not out to take, but it's if you just got 25 points laying around, take it. So when the character who has it dies for the first time, you roll a d6 on the 2-up. He comes back to life with full wounds remaining.
Nice.
So, pretty good to put on a champion. Then we have our beautiful stratagems, and they are not orc level good, but they are good. So
orcs have the stratagems, baby.
I know. But Votann has some silly good ones as well.
Votann's
For
gross,
1 CP in the fight phase, we select one Votann unit and 1 enemy unit that have 1 or more tokens on them. Until the end of the phase, while my unit is attacking that unit, I get one better AP for each token on that. So if you have 2 tokens on, let's say knobs, or well, just a tank, like let's say a battle wagon.
Yeah.
I have 2 tokens on that. Now my AP2 base goes to AP4.
And this is only in melee, right?
This is only in melee, unfortunately.
Well, no. Very fortunately.
Yeah, no, it's a super good stratagem for 1 CP, which actually makes you punch hard in melee.
Yeah.
Then we have another one that you're going to use pretty much all the time, Ordered Retreat for 1 CP in your movement phase. You put it on 1 Votann unit, it gets fallback, shoot, and charge. Great.
Marvelous.
Can't lock me down. We have for 1 CP, the very best one. You're going to use this basically every single turn. In your shooting phase, you select 1 Votann unit. That Votann unit now gets sustained hits 1 ability. Great. However, if they're shooting ranged attacks against an enemy unit that has 1 or 2 tokens, just tokens, I get sustained hits 2.
Okay, so let me clarify, because I think there's some confusion on this because of the way it's played at some tournaments. You automatically get sustained hits 1 with it, but if they have judgment tokens, you get sustained hits 2.
Correct.
Okay, so no judgment tokens, sustained hits 1 still.
Yes.
All right. Gotcha.
For 1 CP, and when you shoot like 1,000,000 bullets, yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Then we have one that's not used that often, but it's a great one to have in a pocket, like a trap card.
You've activated my trap card.
Yeah, reactive reprisals. It's kind of fitting in the name. But it's in the opponent's shooting phase. And you can use it after an enemy unit has used shot a unit with 1 or 2 tokens on it. Just tokens on that, and if they've shot at against one of your units and that unit is alive still, you can pay 2 CP and you can say, nah, my time. I'm going to do my shooting phase with this unit right now again. So no Overwatch like hitting on 6s, it's just straight up my shooting again.
Nice.
Yeah, so it really makes opponents question, do I want to shoot my unit that has tokens into this thing? Can I kill enough? So it kind of becomes like this Wraith Guard feel with the shoot back.
Okay.
Honestly, all the Votann stratagems are useful here. We have Newfound Nemesis, which is a personal favorite of mine. We'll go into why later. But basically, in the opponent's shooting or fight phase, after an enemy unit, it's in the opponent's shooting phase or each of the fight phases. It works both. So after an enemy unit has resolved the attacks, and 1 Leagues of Votann infantry or mounted, so that will be the bikes or any infantry unit, if they are reduced to below half strength, so below being the important one here, I can use that for 1 CP. That enemy unit that did the attacks get 1 token. However, if said unit was my warlord unit, then it's 2 tokens.
So it's a little niche, but it can be quite useful at certain times.
We're going to go into it later, but there is a great trick that a certain player discovered. That is unfortunately not me, but we will give him full credit for it.
Cool, right on. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, and then we have the last one that is amazing. It's Void Armor. It's just Armor Contempt for 1 CP. Yep.
So ignore 1 blip of AP, which basically is why orcs hate stunties. All right, man. So that's exciting. So that's going to be our that's the enhancements. That's the stratagems. We're just going to get right on into all of the units. But before we do that, the big strengths of the army here is you have an unbelievable amount of shooting that is going to typically be at +1 to wound. So even though it's only damage 1 and it's going to be at strength 4 or so, it's going to be at +1 to wound, which means everything is wounding everything a lot, and that is pretty terrifying. So that's kind of what Votann do. They have probably the best anti-tank in the game, dependent on if you can actually position yourself correctly. And Votann are scary in shooting, guys. And their big weaknesses, the way I see it, is that most of their shooting from their infantry, which does appear to be their scariest things, is only 18 inches. So they can be outranged. But if they get range to shoot you, you're probably going to die. So that's the way I see it. Let's see what Felix has to say as we run through this. So let's just get started with this very first model. And who is this guy?
This is Uthar the Destined.
Uthar the Destined, the special character. Where do I throw him?
Right, he's destined for greatness. So at the start of the index, everyone looked at him like he's just a worse call. However, here's where the shout out will happen to Danny Porter of Poland. He discovered something great with this, which convinced me like this. I've tried it and I run him I love him. He's in every single one on my list. However, he's not necessary. We're gonna throw Ufar the Destined in A tier. Also, the way we're gonna do these tiers, we can't really say that S tier is this will be in every list because we don't have that many units. Basically, everything will be in every list.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Ufar is gonna go to A tier, and here's why. So by himself, he's a 5 wound character with a 3 up arm save and a 4 up invul. He has a great ability that is better than any other damage reduction ability. It turns every single damage to 1. Not -1, not half damage. Everything just becomes a 1. No matter what they modify, it just becomes a 1. It's amazing.
Brutal.
Yeah, and what I mentioned with the newfound Nemesis, getting the tokens when you go below half. You put 5 warriors with this guy, and you make Ufar your warlord. So if they kill 4 warriors, you go below half strength, because you start with 6 models, and then you give that unit 2 tokens. Now, if they have the warriors dead and reduce Ufar to 1 or 2 wounds, we can do that again, 2 tokens. If they just overkill and kill Ufar and the warriors, like just overload them, they're like 6 crisis suits into them. Well, 2 tokens because you kill 2 units. And on top of that, so he's tanky, they need to commit a lot, you can give up tokens with him, and Ufar actually slaps.
Nice. So immediately for my brain, when I hear about what he does, what I'm thinking is, well, we have this terrifying, horrible Mazrog Scragbad that's coming to eat you. And so you're going to run Uthar right into his face and say, nah, because you're going to deal, I don't know, 12 million damage to me, and it's only going to be 1.
Exactly.
So he's like a doorstop. So you just drop him there, and the biggest nasty that's going into him just says, "Oh, huh, okay," and that's what he seems like for me.
He's a tar pit for sure, but he can tar pit. He can deal some damage. We'll go into the warriors later to how we can boost that more.
Sure.
But he has dev wounds on his weapon, so it has 5 attacks. It's hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP 3, damage 2. And it's so good because it's dev wounds, so the damage 2 can be nice, but he has the ability that after you've rolled a hit or a wound roll, not both, just one of them, you can change one of the results to a 6.
So he could do a little bit more damage than you're expecting.
Yes.
But his job seems like you're just not going to kill him in the 1 activation like you want to.
If you do in 1 activation, then you just get tokens anyways. There's just no way to avoid him giving out tokens unless you already use a unit that has tokens, because you start the game with 2 tokens on 4 units. So, but those are mostly the important, like big important units. So if you want to overcommit, I'm happy.
Cool. All right, so that's Uthar, guys. The most efficient doorstop in the game. Well, maybe not the most, but a very good doorstop. So what do we got this next guy? This is Space Gandalf, right?
No. The next guy is the Brokir Iron Master.
That's the Iron Master. Okay, yeah. Space Gandalf is I see it. Okay.
Yeah. So he has an entourage as well. So he has the Iron Master himself. He has 4 wounds. His entourage will be an assistant with 2 wounds. He also has 3 little ECOG drones with 1 wound each. So he's cheap at 65 points. Oh yeah, Ufar is 90. But 65 points for the Brokir. He has, of course, the gun with 3 shots at anti-vehicle 2+, -1 damage free. But he's like 65 points for 5 models in total, 9 wounds, I believe it is.
And this is the guy who would attach to your Thunderkin if you wanted to give...
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Yep.
He can also repair vehicles for flat free as long as the assistant is live.
Sure.
So where I'm gonna want to put him is in B tier, and this is because every list will not take him. You basically take him either as a warrior replacement, which is not that usual, but you can also put him on Thunderkin, and because he is the only one with the character keyword, and the assistant and the 3 drones are not characters, you can basically use them as ablative wounds, like old Tau Shield drones or whatever. Just take the wounds before you kill Thunderkin.
Sure.
And he also gives +1 to hit to the Thunderkin he's leading, which is good because then you can shoot against things that hasn't got tokens yet.
Yep.
But he's just not that super important.
Now, he is a 65-point character with, what is it, like almost 10 wounds when you include all of his entourage? So,
9 wounds.
Or 9 wounds. Yeah, so honestly, he sounds really, really good to me. But I think one thing that everyone's going to find as we go through all of this, there's really no bad units in the Votann Codex right now.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, B sounds totally fair. Then we have the Smasher Boy, who wants to be an orc, but he's just not. What is this guy?
This is the Einhair
The
champion.
Einhair champion.
He is probably one of the best single melee characters in the game for the points cost.
Yep.
So we're gonna put him into A tier, and here's why. He has 5 wounds. I'm pretty sure. Let me just see so I'm not lying, and it's 6.
How dare you lie to us?
It should be 5. We're not super tanky as Votann. Okay, we're tanky, but we're not.
I was gonna say you're very tanky as Votann.
We don't have a lot of wounds generally.
Correct.
Here we go. Yeah, we have 5 wounds.
Yeah.
He has a 2-up armor and a 4-up involve. But here's the thing. He's 60 points.
Ugh.
Just 60.
Ugh.
Now, he's slow with 5-inch move. We'll give him that. And he can't deep strike on his own. That deep strike ability he has only works when he's a leader for some reason. But he can take 2 weapons. One is the Dark Star Axe, which is just a lot 6 AP2 damage 2 attacks.
Yep.
And he has the Mass Hammer as well, which is 3 attacks, but like strength 12 and D6 plus 1 damage.
And for 60 points, that's not bad, man.
That's really good. And on top of that, when he's leading a unit, which is going to be the Hearthguard Terminators, he gives them charge rerolls.
That's pretty nice, actually. So suddenly you get these guys getting that 9-inch deep strike. They start blasting like they're Danny DeVito, and then they get to re-roll their charge.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a 47% out of charge, out of deep strike charge, which is super, super nice. Yep, I got that.
Which is way better than 27. Also, when his unit finishes a charge on a 2-up, it's D3 mortals. On a 6, it's D3 plus 3 mortals. And I had a game where I only rolled 6s.
Oh, that would be brutal.
Oh, that's funny.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's just super solid at 60. Now, next one. That's going to be Space Gandalf.
Space Gandalf. Right on. Let's talk about Space Gandalf.
Yeah, this is a Grimnir. Now, a Grimnir, we're going to shove him into B tier with the Broke Your Iron Master.
Now, why is he in B tier? Explain this to me, sir, because he looks awesome. How could he be a B tier character?
So, he's 65 points, but of course, he's a character.
Yep.
So he is 4 wounds, the 2 drones, has 1 wound each, a 4-up involve on the unit. He has good shooting, so it's 6 attacks when he overcharges, hitting on 2, strength 6, AP2, and D3 damage. But as a leader, he's kind of useless because he can only lead warriors. And when he leads them, he gives them +1 toughness, but we don't care about that. Now, he does have an ability that once per battle, if he fails a battle shock test, he can say, nah, I didn't.
Yep.
So that, but you take him for basically one reason only, and that's because you don't want to take warriors to put in the Sagittars because they're dedicated transports.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the only reason to take him. Yeah, he can do some damage, but he doesn't really add anything. It's just you want less OC and more damage compared to warriors. That's why you would take him.
I get that. So he's more like you're taking the solo character, cheap, really easy to, I don't know, leave them out of line of sight so they can hold on to something, not super easy to kill with indirect.
Yeah, pretty much. You put him in Sagittar and send him up.
Sagittar, yeah, he's one of the things that, okay, I'm with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down, sir. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is that all no, we still have the call there, right? So let's talk about, let's just do the call before we do the troops.
Yeah. Also, a big thing about the why you don't run 3 champions. Unfortunately, you cannot put a champion into a Sagittar.
Yes. Okay. We don't have to go too far into that, but no, you cannot put champions into Sagittars because exoskeleton suits are not able to start inside Sagittars or go inside Sagittars at all. Yeah,
because otherwise you would just take a lot of Sagittars and put champion in one and say, no, it doesn't die.
Yep. Okay, so let's do this call here. Yeah.
So a call. He's honestly pretty good. We're gonna put him into A tier, right to Ufar. So, all right, when Ufar and the call leads a unit, he gives them a 5-up invul, which is great against Thousand Suns, for example. Because, spoiler alert, Votann do not have invulves. Not a single unit has an invulve for the entire unit. He's honestly pretty good. We're going to put him into A tier, right to
And that's a little interesting to me because you guys have awesome armor. But yeah, I can see that. All right.
Yeah. So if you're playing against Phasmans, you need a call to put on some Terminators. But what the call does is he gives the unit he's leading lethal hits, which is always great on 1,000,000 bullets. But the big thing here is also he can give out the token command phase to something he sees, just like 9th edition. It's decent, but giving the 5-up invul, the lethal hits, and combo that together with Grim Demeanor, now you can have a really scary unit, so you can just... This unit won't be affected by anything.
Right.
It will just murder. But he's pretty necessary to put on one Terminator unit. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the Terminators just want a character, right? It doesn't really seem like it matters which character they take. They just want one so they get that sweet -1 to wound.
Yeah, semi -1 to wound, but yeah. It's only if you have strength 7 and above.
Which is the majority of those abilities in the game. I think it's just Lich Guard and Orks who are just straight up -1 to wound. Everything else, yeah. Okay, all right. So those are the characters. All the characters are cheap. All of them serve a pretty good purpose. I can definitely see why you would take literally any of them. And basically, we're super happy with the characters. Let's start with the very first big unit. Let's do Warriors first. Let's do Warriors first.
Let's do Warriors. All right. So Warriors is one of those weird ones.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna see them in every list, and that's because we don't have a lot of units. I'm gonna have them in B tier. I think, yeah, B tier. And the reasoning is they're great. They're cheap. Well, semi-cheap. 110 points for 10 of them, and you can split them up so you have 5 men for 55 points. They're OC. They have stick objective, which is nice. Toughness 5, but they're not tanky. They're kind of easy to kill. Their shooting guns are kind of useless, all of them pretty much.
Yep.
There's the Hylas auto rifle, which is a heavy weapon they can take, which is, you don't care about the shooting, you just care about the assault keyword in that case.
Sure. Just
to advance and do an action. But the big thing, and this is where we combo it with Ufar. With 10 men, you can take 2 heavy weapons, which would be the heavier guns like the Magna Rail or maybe the Hylas Out Rifle or Missile Launcher. I don't care about any of those. Now, all of those have an asterisk in the datasheet, meaning you can only take this weapon once. There's one heavy weapon that does not have that asterisk.
Ooh.
So you can take 2 of them.
Spicy.
And that is the Kin melee weapon.
Tell me about the Kin melee weapon, because this sound very intrigued. You said melee, and you got my attention.
Yes. So, you give up your gun, and you get either an axe or a sword. It's just a melee weapon, but this melee weapon has 2 attacks at strength 5, AP 2, damage 2, hitting on force, of course, because Votann. So you take two of the warriors, take those instead. But then you look at the leader, the Thane, like the sergeant of the unit.
Yep.
He can give up his bolter or whatever, throw that away, and also take one. So suddenly you have a 5-man with 3 of these. So that's going to be... And he can also take a plasma pistol, which is like an 8-inch pistol with strength 8 minus 3, damage 2.
So these guys can straight up be a actually melee threat.
Yes, you take the 10-man and you split them up. So 5 are just useless, do nothing, and 5 have the sweet goods. So that's 5-man unit. Just those melee weapons from the 3 dudes. That's 6 attacks at strength 5, AP 2, damage 2.
Chances are they're going to be +1 to hit and +1 to wound.
Yes, and then you have Ufar as well leading that one.
I see. Okay, yep, I can see where this is going. Nice.
So I did some math on this. You can, with the -1 to wound, you can kill about 5 knobs.
Super annoying. or so, like, maybe you get your death company that comes in to kill, and then suddenly these guys just they hit way more than you were expecting basic warriors to, and then suddenly you lose half your death company squad, and you're like, wait, what just happened to me?
Yeah, we're joking about them having like knuckle breakers they take on, like, come on.
Yeah, right. No, that's cool. I like it. All right, so warriors can have a little bit of a punch up, and you can equip them for a variety. But the warriors are not the stars of the show.
No.
What is the stars of the show? Because let's talk about the stars of the show.
The stars of the show, my friend.
You're not going to see a single list without them.
No, these are in every list, and you're going to see 20 most of the time. I'm a madman, I like 30. We're going to take the Hearthguards straight up to S tier, baby.
Yeah, I didn't even need to ask your opinion on it. These guys are just legends. They're super, super good. So tell us about them, man.
So they're 30 points a model, so a unit of 10 is 300. Now, that sounds expensive, but what does that give you now?
It's not
There
expensive.
are toughness 6, and when a leader is leading them, they have -1 to wound against strength 7 and above. It's not specifically strength 7, it's when the attack has more strength than your toughness, which is 6. They have 2 wounds, no involve of their own. A call or Ufar can give them that.
But you don't need it
But
when you have a 2-up armor save in this
No,
edition.
you have a 2-up armor save on them, and 2 wounds. It is what it is, 2 wounds, but it's still tanky because you sit in a ruin with a 2-up armor save. You get benefits of cover, and then you say armor contempt, and you say, well, your AP2 is I have a 2-up armor save. Woohoo! And the bullets, oh boy. So they always have one gun that you can't switch, and that's the grenade launcher. Now, it's not a grenade keyword because that's different thing in 10th, but it's a grenade launcher on their little back thing. Carry it on the shoulder, which is super easy to break off. So be careful. But this gun is D6 shots, blast, and strength 4, AP 0, damage 1.
Which sounds not good.
But then you shoot 10 of them, and when you shoot, so suddenly when you shoot those 20 Necro Warriors with just that one, right? Here's 10 D6. We take the result of that and we add 40.
And they're all hitting on 2s.
Yeah.
And wait, it's straight 4, but isn't it going to be +1 to wound?
Uh-huh. So, and of course, when you do that, you do the sustained hits too.
Oh, wait, what?
And of course, you also have, if the call is leading them, suddenly it's lethal hits as well. So it usually ends up being like, right, you may have a good save, but you do have 40 saves to make.
A casual 40 saves to make on your 3-up armor save, and suddenly you have 3 warriors left, and now you have to proc your reanimations.
No, because that's the first gun.
Oh wait, there's more guns. There's more guns. I forgot.
So they have a second gun as well, and this one is optional. You can either go for the plasma gun, which is just 1 shot, strength 8, AP 3, damage 2. I like using this with the Grim Demeanor Call because that means if you're a 2-up in cover, you can't use armor contempt, so AP3 will go to that 4-up, which is usually the involve anyways. And you can't deny my damage 2. And I'm strength 8, +1 to wound, but I ignore -1 to wound, so I wound basically everything on 2s.
That's not a vehicle,
Yeah, that's not a vehicle. But then we have it wounds pretty much every single vehicle on a 4-up. If you have the tokens, so that's good as well. But then the second option you can take is the Vulcanite Disintegrator. Now this gun, per weapon, it's 3 shots on strength 5, AP 0, damage 1, and devastating wounds. Also, all the Hearthguard, they're hitting better. They have a weapon ballistic skill of 3+, so tokens make it 2+. But it's better than the army-wide 4-up that everything else has.
Yep.
But that gun, well, suddenly those 10 dudes are shooting 30 shots. That can do dev wounds in it.
That are double exploding on 6s to hit. And then any 6 to wound, just don't get a save against. So it's honestly going to just delete 3 Custodes each time you activate only that gun.
Yeah. Mathematically, it doesn't really matter if you have a call. It goes it cancels it charges out with the lethal hits negating dev wounds. It actually, I guess 2-up armor save, it becomes the same, but you don't get doesn't get better. So I prefer having the call leading the plasma guys. I have 10 with plasma, and then I have 20 guys with Vulcanite. And then on top of that, they actually do melee. So not the best melee in the world, but they can have either the plasma blade, which is like a lightsaber, with 3 attacks, strength 6, AP 2, and damage 1. So a bit more to clear some hordes. I have 10 running with those just in case I need that, but I have the better weapon usually. So the fist, as I like to call it, the concussion gauntlet, which is 2 attacks, strength 9, AP 2, damage 2. And again, if you have a call with this, that's 20 attacks, hitting on 2s with lethal hits. Strength 9 with +1 to wound, and you can't ignore my you can't use a -1 to wound against that. And suddenly,
assuming you have the enhancement. Assuming you have.
Of course. But I can also say, well, AP4 because 1 CP and you have 2 tokens on you.
Now I know what everyone's thinking. They're like, okay, all that shooting is scary, but once I get you in melee, your melee doesn't sound that bad. So I can just trap you there and you're fine. But wait a second, wasn't there a obnoxious stratagem you had for a horrible 1 CP fallback shoot and charge?
Exactly, shoot and charge. And Hearthguard, they like to shoot and charge.
So these guys, essentially, when you're playing against Hearthguard, you have to wipe them, or you have to fully encompass them so they can't fall back.
Exactly.
And even then, they can still fall back. Just 1 or 2 or 3 of them might die on the fallback, and he doesn't care because he's still going to shoot the shit out of you and then charge again.
And if you charge me and surround me, you better make sure your unit can survive the melee punch to not open any holes.
Yep, exactly. So it is a disgusting unit. It does awesome. Oh yeah, they deep strike and casually they deep strike because
also the sergeant in that unit usually takes the hammer with 1 less AP, so just AP 1, but damage 3.
So there's a Thunderhammer in there as well, basically. So yeah, all right. So that's Hearthguard. They're disgusting. I do think most of the time 20 is probably going to be the sweet spot. I know you said you're running 30, and I don't think 30 is necessarily a bad thing, but it does seem like it can get a little bit tedious maneuvering them all on the board because they are fairly slow movement, and it does become a little bit easy to kind of screen you, and you do only have the 18-inch range on them. So if you're running into an army like Tau or a guard or someone who just outranges you, I can see how it becomes a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I haven't had an issue against Tau with it. It's definitely harder to play. I think 50 or 60% of list will probably take majority will take 20.
Okay.
Some of us madmen will take 30, and then there are some who just like vehicles and go 10 of them. But there's not going to be a single list that doesn't have Hearthguard.
Sure, seems reasonable. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, there's a combo you can pull out with the. We'll go into that with the Hekaton later as a 5-man, but trust me, it's not good.
So let's get through some of these guys that are going to go a little quicker for us. So let's talk about the Pioneers. Pioneers are pretty cool. They actually still shoot pretty hard, and they're still pretty fast. Let's just run through them real fast.
Yeah. So the Pioneers, you're going to see them in every list as well. You're going to see basically every unit in every list almost.
Pretty much right.
But they are good because 3 wounds apiece. The one with the big gun has 4 wounds. Their toughness 6. You take a scanner, they ignore cover with their AP 1 weapons. You can either take the searchlight, which I prefer, which gives you +1 to hit against stealth.
Nice.
Which is great for taking it out assassins. They have a 9-inch scout move, and they move 12 inches. Now, the big thing. Now they're gonna go up in A tier, and here's the reason why. They have one super good ability. If they're not in combat at the end of the opponent's turn, and they're within, not total within, just within 6 inches of an edge, I can pick them up into a strategic reserve.
So all the unit has to do is be within 6 inches, not wholly.
Just touch it with a toe.
That's actually really, really nice. I thought it was wholly. Okay.
Yeah. Used to be wholly back in 9th edition, so I had that confused for when we played. But then I reread it and like, oh, that's even better.
That's pretty gross.
So yeah, they're gonna be in A tier. They're a great unit for that.
Going back into Strat Reserve is a very powerful ability.
And it's also awesome. 10 T6 wounds at the 4-up armor.
Yeah.
90 points.
Okay. So basically, there's a theme here, guys. All Votann are cheap, but none as cheap as this next unit, which is actually just kind of ludicrous. And I think GW screwed up a little bit on this one, but that's okay because overall GW's done a great job of balancing so far. Let's talk about the Brokir Thunderkin. These guys, 150 points for 6 of these. What do they do?
They you look at the 3 weapon options and you say nah to 2 of them, and you look at the Graviton Blast gun and you take that one. Because it's just one of those guns that's great against anything that's not a monster.
Yep.
So it's D6 shots with blast, which is great, and then it's anti-vehicle 2+.
2+ people.
And strength 5, AP 2, damage 2.
So they don't really care about the +1 to wound most of the time because it's vehicle hunters.
They want +1 to hit. You can pull off the. You can use the Brokir Iron Master to lead them and give them always +1 to hit, ablative wounds, but also if you can use the Grim Demeanor here instead to make sure that the AP2 doesn't get reduced. I prefer it on the Hearthguard, but you can use it here. The Thunderkin themselves are tanky. They're 3 wounds apiece at toughness 6 and a 3-up armor save.
Hot dog.
So 75 points for 3 of them, or 150 for 6 of them. We're gonna put them in A tier. Yeah. I'm not running a single one though, and I think this is very terrain dependent.
The thing
because they
about
are
them is 18-inch range, right? That's their
yes,
thing. And they're not super fast. So they're amazing for coming in from strat reserve.
yeah,
But once they're there, that's where they are. And all your
basically.
opponent has to. They're incredible. Their firepower is insane. Their toughness is way better than you would expect. But with only a range of 18, you can play around them. And all you really need to do is screen the strat reserve because they don't have deep strike, which is thank goodness. If they had deep strike, they yeah,
Oh yeah,
but they don't have deep strike, so we don't have to worry about that. They have strat
yeah.
reserve. So you do really need to play around this because if these guys see any vehicle in the game, that vehicle does. Is there any vehicle that survives them?
3 of them, yes. 6 of them, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. Especially when you could stack the double exploding sixes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any vehicle in the game that actually survives them.
Oh, and they overwatch on a 5-up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. The 5-up Overwatch, which is incredible.
uh,
Incredible.
yeah. But the issue on WTC, there's a lot of terrain along the edges, so you don't get a good firing lines with them. That's why I'm not running them anymore. On UKC or GW, you have a lot better firing lines from the edges, and I would definitely run them more over there. They're cheap, but they don't really help with scoring. But it's a great unit. It really is.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the Book of Thunder gun. Guys, we're almost done here. So I think we're about to run into the only unit in the Codex that isn't just straight up awesome
Yeah.
or is very, very good, and they're still pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Berserkers here.
Those are weird because on paper they look really good.
Mhm.
Because it's 5 guys with 2 wounds each, a 6-up armor, 5-up final pain, 2 wound speeds, of course, 100 points. They have melee. They can take the fists for strength 9, AP 2, damage 3, I believe it is. So it's a good, but it's just 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Or is it? Oh, let me bring it up.
I thought the fist was damage 2 and the hammers were going to be
Oh,
damage 3.
no, so the fist is the 3 attacks, strength 9, AP 2, damage 3.
Okay.
Then they can take the axe instead, which
Mhm.
has strike or sweep. The sweep is 6 attacks on 3s, strength 4, AP 1, damage 1, and the sweep is strength 6, AP 2, damage 2, but only 3 attacks.
Got it.
So
you're
they
probably
do
going
seem
fist.
good. I don't know. I think both have the option. If you want the big melee sweep against trash that's hiding in terrain, I think axes can be great. Because Hearthguard can't really clear trash in melee if there's enough of it. Like
Yeah, but are you really concerned about trash? Because don't you just shoot them to death? Because there's no trash in the game that
oh yeah, if they
has a
hide in
chance.
terrain. But yeah.
Okay.
But then they have a 4-up fight on death.
That's nice.
And they can take a mold grenade launcher that if you shoot that indirect and you hit on a 4-up, that unit gets not monsters, not vehicles, but it gets -2 move, -2 advance, -2 charge.
So they have movement manipulation. That's actually really nice.
But it is, you got a hit with a D6 blast. That's a ballistic skill 4-up.
So hitting on
indirect.
5s. Yeah.
Yep. And then if you hit, you got to roll a 4-up to make it.
Okay. So after you hit, then
yes.
you have to roll. Is it a 4-up for each hit, or just if you hit, you get 1 chance?
Yep.
All right. So it's a non-reliable movement manipulation.
Okay. They look great on paper, but I tried them for a couple of games.
Yeah.
And I ran 2 of them. They're just too inconsistent because they're also moving 5, of course, because it's Votann, 5 inches. But they have no charge reroll. They have no advance in charge. They're so slow. And having a 6-up armor and a 5-up final pain, you are really a good Overwatch target.
Yep.
So I think they're way too inconsistent. If the slow was, if I hit, you were slowed, I would definitely take them.
Sure.
But just because it's that, like the fight on death is on a 4-up, the slow is on a hit and then a 4-up. They're just so inconsistent.
And honestly, guys, it's still a good unit. It's not a bad unit at all. It's just probably the worst unit Votann has. But that doesn't mean it's a bad unit. Right?
No, you can play it, but it's gonna be played a certain way and it's not gonna be consistent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put them in C tier because of course that's the definition of C tier, to have play in a certain way. But they're just not consistent enough, which is sad. They look great on paper, yeah.
Okay. Then we're going into what some people are arguing, that guy right there, some people are arguing is the best transport in the game. I disagree, but it's still exceptionally good. So the Sagittar, what do we
This
get?
is right. I'm gonna say top 2 transports in the game.
Okay, fair.
But for the Sagittar, we're paying 100 points. What do these 100 points give you? Well, it gives you S tier. And here's why. You get a 9 wound transport, which is the best breakpoint because that means you're avoiding that extra VP for bring it down. So it's great for the tactical bring it down draw. But it's also 9 wounds, of course, but toughness 10.
Ooh,
That's tanky.
T10, that's awesome, yeah.
Yeah. And a free up armor save. So just 100 points for that. That's tanky. No, Mike, I disagree. I think Truck is not better than the Sagittar because this guy, he has guns as well.
Okay, all right. We have someone in chat who's saying that the Truck is the best. I actually disagree as well. I do think the Truck is probably a solid candidate for number 3.
Yeah.
I would here. Let's finish the Sagittar, and then we'll do this. Then we'll do this.
Yeah. So the Sagittar, it can transport 5 dudes. That's not exo armor, whatever the keyword is. Can't transport Hearthguard or the champion.
Or the Broker.
It can transfer the. Oh no, it's not free of the Thunderkin. There's a lot of things called Broker here.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah. But the Thunderkin, they're too fat. They take up 3 slots apiece, and it only stores 6 of them. Now it also has guns. Now there is math for it, which I have done. If you have the link in the Orc Discord, we'll actually get that link to your Discord as well.
Yep.
I accidentally created my Votann sheet in that same folder, so it's there.
Oh, perfect. All right, then I'll make sure if you guys make sure you join the Happy Crumpet Discord, and we'll make sure you get the data sheets or the damage sheets.
So there's 2 options that kind of matter for the guns. It's the high loss gun or the missiles. Now, the missiles is a flat damage free gun and a D6 one-shot gun as well. There's 2 guns. I ran the math. I prefer the high loss, and I also think we need that kind of big casino gun effect with Votann because we don't have that. So we're taking the high loss, in my opinion. Now, what does that give you? Well, it gives you 2 beautiful shots. And these shots, well, it's skill 4+, but we usually hit on 3s. But it's sustained hit D3, so that it can really high roll. Suddenly you're feeling like an orc. You're like, I have 2 shots, but I hit you 4 times. And it's strength 12, AP 3, and D6 damage.
Oof.
But wait, there's more. There's one more gun.
Another gun.
So that thing has 3 shots, hitting on same as every Votann, of course. But it's strength 6, AP 1, and damage 2 with Twin Link.
Twin Link.
So it can really hurt.
And you guys know from how much I love Death Coptas, I love Twin Link. I can't have a stream without mentioning Death Coptas. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, that second gun with the Twin Link, it also has sustained hits 1 built in. Because of course it has. So on top of being a durable transport with the perfect wound for bring it down, it also has 2 pretty good guns. It's tanky. It's 100 points, and it can split a unit of 10 warriors into 2 units of 5. And on top of that, it has an amazing ability, which is you can disembark after you advance the transport.
Super good. And it's fast already, right?
12 inches.
Yeah, so it's already fast. It's not a slow transport.
And it has a scout move of 6.
Oh! Okay. Yeah, so...
It just gives you a lot. I'm taking 4 of them right now. I think a lot of people are taking 6 as well. Some are taking 3, and that's like the minimum, I believe. If you go below 3, you probably have hackathons. But they're so good. It's nuts. Oh, and they're OC free.
And they're OC3. All right, yeah. So basically, the thing about the Sagittar is what it sounds to me like the limiting factor on the Sagittar is how many units do you want to take to actually start inside of them?
Oh yeah, because
they are dedicated transports, right? That seems like the limiter is. Do you want to take 30 warriors? Do you want to take 20 warriors and 2 like of small characters to start in them? Like that seems like the problem with getting Sagittars because they just seem absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, that's the balance. Like we need to take stuff to put inside, unfortunately, and we would love to take 3 champions and just put 1 in each, but unfortunately we can't.
Fortunately,
yeah. Fair point. But the Grimnir can sit in there. The Iron Master can sit in there. 5 warriors can be in there with a leader. That's not the Grimnir because he's 3 models.
Yep.
So of course Ufar's gonna sit there with 5 warriors.
Totally. So that's the Sagittar, guys. All right, now I'm going to take one quick aside because I still think the best transport in the game is probably the Chimera. This thing, the Chimera for a guard, remember, it's 70 points. It has a Las Ray Defender, which is, I don't know, like 16 shots of like some small things. And then it has 4 Flamers. So it's got a D6 Flamers for its Overwatch. You combine that with its transport capacity and its scout moves. I think that's the best transport in the game. Then Sagittar, then Orc Truck. That's my argument. Boom. But Sagittar is freaking amazing. I do love it.
Oh, we have a funny comment here. To be fair, a Sagittar took my beast pass on Squig to 2 wounds in round 1 today. That's the casino effect. That's why I want the high last gun.
Brutal. When a dedicated transport is screwing up your biggest tank, that's not good.
Because when you do that, I've had that happen once so far. The super high roll casino on hits when I roll 2 6s to hit, and like, right, so I hit those 2, and then I have 2 D3 extra hits.
Oof.
And people panic.
So speaking of transports taking out tanks, let's talk about the last model in the army, and this thing is a tank.
So we can
Hekaton Land Fortress.
So I prefer to call it the Hekachonk.
The Hekachonk.
Okay. Yeah. So the Hekachonk is Hekachonky, and it's 235 points, which is pricey. But it's 16 wounds, it's toughness 12, it moves 10 inches, 2 up armor save, of course, OC 5. So that's good. And the guns, you're going to take 1 gun and 1 gun only as the option here. It's the heavy beamer. The Magna Rail, trash, throw it away. You don't need that. Dev wounds got nerfed. The Cyclic Ion, you don't need more AP2 damage 2. We're fine. But we want the conversion beamer because that's 24 inches, but it's 2 shots. However, it has a rule called conversion. So each roll of 4 up triggers a critical hit, and it's sustained hits D3, of course.
On a 4 up. Ugh.
Yeah. So usually hits on 3s, but 4s are sustained hits D3. Strength 10, AP2, and flat 4 damage.
So that's really nice.
That's a good profile.
Really, that's a good profile.
On top of that, you're gonna take the twin bolt cannons, so it's gonna have 6 more shots, 36 inches range.
Yep.
Hitting on 4s naturally, so 3s with token. Sustained hits 1. Twin link, strength 6, AP1, damage 2. Oh, and if you don't think AP1 isn't scary here, no. The Hekaton has a scanner. It ignores the cover.
Nice. So gross.
Yep. You can replace the scanner with a 1-shot weapon. That's kind of trash, so don't do that. Keep the scanner. And that would be the guns of it. Oh, no, it has 1 more. It has a Matra autocannon, 24 inches, 6 shots.
Plenty. All right, it has all the firepower in the world, and it's tough as hell. So this thing's awesome. Well, it's at least good. All right, okay.
One more ability, though.
Oh, no, tell me about this ability.
So when something disembarks from it, and the Hekaton shoots, after the Hekaton has shot, it can select 1 unit that it hit and say, right, the thing that disembarked from me, when they shoot at that unit, they get reroll wounds.
So you probably but that would only apply to what, like a 5-man Hearthguard squad, most likely?
That's the first thing you think, but the math isn't great for it. You'd rather have the 10-man Hearthguard do their thing. However, you can put 3 of the Thunderkin in here because they take up 9 out of, I think it's 12 spots. 12 spots, yeah. And then for the last 3 spots, you can put the Grimnir in there with the 6 shots. That's kind of good.
So it's an ability that's usable, but maybe not earth-shaking, which is probably why we're not seeing tons of these things around.
Yeah.
These are what, 235 points?
Yes.
All right, so they're a little on the pricey side for Votann, still not that expensive for other armies. Where are you putting it? Where are you putting it? Because to me, it honestly sounds like one of the worst models that we've spoken about. It sounds like kind of a C tier to me, but I'm a little less educated here than you.
So it's a good. I don't like it on WTC because of firing angles. There are a bunch of armies that can one-shot it, but there's a lot of armies that just can't kill it because you're going to be 2 up in cover because it's big, you can hide 1 little millimeter of it, and then you say armor contempt on it, and suddenly it's a 0 up save. So some armies hate dealing with it, and it has good damage, OC 5. I'm gonna say it's A tier because it's honestly good. It's not as good as the Sagittar, but it's good on UKTC and GW, definitely. it's less good on WTC.
Interesting. I'm
'Cause it's
overriding you.
still-
I'm dropping that bad boy in the B.
You're thinking B tier?
I'm thinking B, yeah, because honestly, with everything else that you're running, its ability is kind of useless. Its transport's not going to really be used outside of 3 Thunderkin, right?
Oh no,
You're
no, but
basically taking it as a gun platform, and the Sagittars outclasses it by so much. I just don't see where you're really taking it for its guns.
it's more you're taking it because a lot of armies can't kill it.
Yeah. So yeah, I get that. I get that. I'm dropping it in B. I'm gonna give you the rest of
Alright.
the tier because everything sounds correct. It just honestly, out of all the things that scare me, being a player who's very scared of this army right now, that's one of the least scary things.
Yeah, I'm not running them. I kind of want to, but I just can't.
Yeah.
I tried them, but they're
We do have a comment here that I want to address because
Ooh.
this is coming from a guy. This is coming from a guy, and he wants to talk some shit. So Mr. Sandra Scar comes on up in the chat, and he says that Jonathan forgets about the Mark of Nurgle Rhino for shame.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grass and Gits, I did not forget about the Mark of Nurgle
It's
Rhino.
good.
It is a rhino. The Mark of Nurgle gives you the stratagem, which makes it the best combo for a transport in the game. But the transport itself is not the best transport in the game. But what he's referring to, because it is absolutely awesome, is you can have Mark of Nurgle on your Rhino, you spend 1 CP, and suddenly your Rhino is blown up.
And -1 to hit. So we get stealth as well.
Yeah, who cares about the -1 hit? It's low up.
Yeah.
So what this allows, it allows you to drop 2 big units of Chosen inside your Rhino, put it on the line in full plane view of the entire army, and not give a shit if you go second, because they're going to have to come within 12 inches before they can shoot it.
So stupid.
It's actually terrifyingly good. So yeah, so Sandra, you're correct. That combo is incredible, but you're wrong. All right, Julian Langa, sorry if I mispronounced your name. I do really appreciate having you here in chat. He says that he's super happy the Votann are doing so well because they're from 0 to hero.
Absolutely.
I love seeing Votann doing well. I might have a few thoughts on how cheap some of the things are, but overall, I'm super excited to see where they are. I do have a few questions for you here, Mr. Felix. And guys, if you have questions in chat, please type them in. Mr. Felix, who are you afraid of while you're playing Votann?
Eldar for sure, but that goes without saying.
Interesting. You're afraid of Eldar.
Yeah, because they're still annoying with their movement tricks, and I'm slow. Like, I'm really slow. And they can phantasm out of my 18 inches range rather easily. So that can just deny an entire half-code unit if they play it correctly. I think Guard can be kind of annoying depending on the list. If they're spamming tanks, that's kind of annoying. I gotta play VP. Of course, it can be annoying with Thousand Suns removing my save. But I don't think that's like the worst one.
Yeah, because Thousand Suns, they probably remove your save and then spend 2 CP just to delete one of your units from out of line of sight.
Yeah,
right? That's what.
But 2 of my Hardfire units have a 5-up invul because of leaders against that specific matchup. So I'm not super afraid of it. I think Eldar is definitely the worst one for me. Yeah, I think that's the absolute worst one actually.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah. Because I'm not afraid of orks. I'm not afraid of Tau.
It's actually a little interesting to me that you're not really afraid of orks, and I'm not trying to have an argument here, but from my perspective, it seems to me that with your 18-inch range, you get 1 activation. And you're gonna have to pop the trucks before you can kill the guys on the inside.
So I've perfected this playstyle a little more with time now. So what I do is basically I drop my death balls and shoot up, and this is why I don't have Thunderkin anymore, because that's not easy to get angles against orcs. But Hearthguard dropping down will get angles, and once they've unloaded all their shooting, I have moved enough warriors and Sagittars and Pioneers sometimes to just move block and make sure you can basically not charge my stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you got to charge instead my trash or the sacrificial things, I'm super happy to then in my turn move up with my Hearthguard 1 more time and shoot and charge you. So it's very terrain dependent, but I I can't really play out like charge 5 warriors into a truck. Don't care if I kill. I just position them so you can't disembark forward. That removes a lot of inches.
Makes sense.
And one orc thing that kind of kills me would be knobs, because everything else is AP1, and I can void armor and just be super tanky with a great toughness against them.
Okay, cool, man. I'm following it. Now, what are the armies you love seeing across the board from you?
Oh, Tau.
All right, you like seeing Tau.
I love seeing Tau. Votann is an army that can play tactical, but we prefer not to. Tau gives me 20 points for free on Bring Down. And they usually have 2 bricks of crisis, which is the only 2 units that actually can kill me. Meanwhile, I have more units that can kill them. So if they start doing some sacrificial stuff, trying to kill my stuff and then let me kill their piece, I just win that trade because I have more pieces.
Seriously, I'm really interested to hear you say this, because those crisis blobs have that 36-inch range.
Oh yeah, sure. But I'm not dropping down my Hearthguard until I want to.
Okay.
So I'm happy to. I can always wait, and I can rapid ingress. Rapid ingress on Hearthguard is amazing. So I can drop behind terrain, like behind the wall, and then say, sure, if they ever move up, I'm going to blast you. And the only thing that a crisis want to blast is my Hearthguard. So I played it, and if they don't commit to crisis, if they're afraid of me, I can just move up with everything else and OC them away from objectives. And if they put out trash, I can just kill the trash easily.
Trash is no issue, right?
yeah. So it's just they don't outscore me.
Okay,
because they don't kill me fast enough, and I can push. There's one thing someone brought up in chat. I'm not a huge fan of playing against CSM because those accursed cultist bobs are annoying. Because they kill the non-character leader with the whatever it's called, the 5 model character. And I can't kill enough of the small guys to get to those torments.
Sure.
The torments, they can, with the combo they stack, they can kill 10 Hearthguard. Because too many attacks. So they get hit reroll and hit wound reroll, and suddenly I have like 30 saves to make.
Okay, I can see it. So overall, when we're thinking about Votann, what are we thinking? And if we wanted to rank the army as a whole, like S tier would be like I don't know, maybe some people would argue Eldar. I actually don't anymore, but the best army in the game, we'll call them the S. Then we've got like the other really good contenders in the A. Your B and C tier is basically the rest of the game, and then your D tier still you're going to be your AdMech most likely. Where are we putting Votann?
Probably gonna put him high A tier.
High A. Yeah, I would agree, man. That's what it sounds like. Votann look awesome. I actually think they're probably pretty freaking fun to play against too. I don't think they're not one of the armies where it's like shit I have to play against Votann. Even though I might be scared about playing Votann because they're really good, I don't think it's like oh no, like it's still a freaking game. So I'm excited to play against them.
Yeah. So we have there's one thing I gotta mention to everyone who's not playing Votann but might play against them.
Yeah.
Votann is the kind of army that if you don't know what the Votann army can do, you will lose the game.
Right. Ask questions, yeah.
So it's just there's so many abilities, and how much a unit can take in terms of damage and how much you can dish out in terms of damage.
Yep.
If you don't know these things and the stratagems, you will just not win the game.
That's good advice.
So research the army. It's not hard to research. There's 5 units you need to learn.
Watch this video. Share it with all of your friends. Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Grats and Gits. This was the Votann tier list. We super appreciate everyone's attention. Mr. Felix here, his YouTube channel is Boss Cooper. I've got it linked, and I'll just make sure I'll make sure when this is done that I have it linked, but I'm pretty sure I've already done it. He definitely streams games fairly regularly. Go watch him, give him a like, give him a subscription because he's freaking awesome. He's also one of the moderators in our favorite Discord in the world called Happy Crump in Wargaming, the Discord. Hop on in there. We've got a lot of awesome content, and we're constantly helping people get better at the game. If you hop into the members section, you can actually join via my Ko-Fi link. I'm going to pop that into the chat right now because that is the best way to support me and all of the Happy Crump Wargaming. And we actually just have a few more questions here if you just want to read those out for us, Mr. Felix, and then we'll close out here.
So one asked if Julian, he asked if Votann have a lot of blast. Yeah, we have a lot of blast. way too much blast. Thunderkin have blast on their grav gun, but Hearthguard, those D6 grenades, that's a lot of blast as well.
So we've got all this blast. Guys, this was freaking awesome. We're going to close on out. And we'll be back next week. I've got a bunch of stuff coming out. We're going to have one of our teaching streams. It's going to be, I think, on Wednesday. It's going to be orks versus orks. So we're going to talk about the Wa-Off. There's actually really, really intricate mechanisms there. So we're going to talk about that and a couple other things. I know we're putting together a big course on deployment and a bunch of other things like that. So make sure you stay tuned. We've got a lot of stuff coming out. Thanks so much for your attention. And until